If you watch to the end, you'll know exactly how to lose at least 40 pounds in 18 weeks in the new year. Now, it may seem like quite a difficult task, and the number seems quite overwhelming, especially if you've never tried to lose weight before, or maybe you have tried to lose weight before without a plan. This may seem pretty difficult, but it's really not. Now, this isn't just a theory, okay? This isn't just an idea. It actually works, and I'm going to show you some proof. So this was me, 54 kg and skinny fat. This was about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I'd say. Probably a year and a half ago. I don't know why I was flexing. There's nothing to flex here. But yeah, I was pretty skinny, especially for my height. And I was very, very skinny fat. I wish I took a side angle, but I didn't think I'd be making this video, so I didn't think there'd be a need. This was me about, 10 or 11 kg heavier. As you can see, I did not know how to control the fat, and so I kept gaining fat as well at the same time. My muscle definition was there, but it wasn't great, and now this is even heavier than the last picture. 74 kg, so I gained about 20 kg in a year and a half, but I significantly reduced the amount of fat that I had. And I've done it even more now. I should probably take an updated photo, but as you can see, this has worked. This has gone from me being, skinny fat here to being in a better position, even while being heavier. And so that is pretty much the proof, and we're going to get into exactly how this works. So step one is identifying why you want this. Now, this is really important. If you haven't got a reason to want to go and do this, you're not going to do it, or you may start, but you may not stick with it. And this is the problem with a lot of people who have maybe New Year's resolutions going into 2026. They'll make a resolution just for the sake of it because they hear other people doing it, and they know in the back of their head it's the right thing to do, but there's no real reason that they want to specifically do it. They're just doing it because maybe someone told them to, or that it's the popular thing to do. But if you want to be consistent and really stick with it for at least these 18 weeks, then you need to identify exactly why you want this. And this is how I'd go about this. So the goal is I want to lose 40 pounds or however much you want to lose. This video will show you the process of losing specifically 40, but then you can apply this to any number amount you want to do. If it's 25, 100, whatever it may be. So the goal is at the top. Why? So why do you want this? Maybe you want to feel good in your clothes. Okay, well, why? And then you can keep going like this. And keep going until you get to a point where you can't keep asking yourself why, and that is the core reason behind your decision. And once you understand the core reason behind your decision, it will be a lot easier to stick to the goal. So that's the first thing. Step two is the maths, because it is pretty simple maths behind it. People make it complicated, or people find it complicated because they can't stick to the basic rules, but it is very basic at the end of the day. So here I'm going to show you the maths behind it. 40 pounds in 18 weeks is the goal. Okay, some people may have different goals. Your goal may be 25 pounds, 30, but I'm just using this as an example. Now, 1 pound contains 3,500 calories. I think it's blocked off there. 3,500 calories. Now, 40 pounds, therefore, is going to be 40 times that, 140,000. Okay. And if we're going to split it over 18 weeks, the reason I chose 18 is because it makes it slightly easier. If we were to try and do this in 16 or 15 weeks, then it'd be slightly harder. But 18 weeks is 7,777 calories per week that we need to be in a deficit. Okay? Obviously, if we divide that over by 7, we'll get the deficit per day, which is what we want. Okay? It's hard to do per week deficits. Per day, 1,111 calories. You can calculate. I'll put a calculator in the description to calculate your maintenance calories, but let's say your maintenance is 2,500. You need to be at a net, or on the day, you need to be at 1,389, because we need to be in that 1,111 calorie deficit. So that means we need to be at this calorie per day. That may sound difficult because you may think, well, I need to just eat that many calories, and that's going to be difficult for me because I'm eating maybe 3,000 calories, whatever it may be. But we can split the deficit into two. So food and activity. Okay. Now, all we need is a 500 calorie deficit with food, and then we need to burn an extra 555 calories. So this makes it slightly easier because we can eat 2,500 minus 555 instead of minus 1,111. So that means we can now eat 1,945, which is slightly easier than having to eat 1,380. So now we can eat that much and it's not as bad. The extra 555 calories will need to be burnt. But first, let's talk about diet and what our diet will be composed of, and then I'll explain the activity side of things, which will not seem as bad when I explain it like this. So, our goal is to consume 1,945 calories. Let's say our starting weight is 200. Okay, so starting weight is 200 pounds. Protein target is always, I recommend 1 times your body weight in pounds in grams. Okay, so 200 times by 1 is 200, and so that is going to be our protein target in grams. Times that by 4, because each gram of protein has 4 calories in it, to get 800 calories. Okay, so that is basically the amount of calories we're getting from our protein. Now, we always need to work it this way. So let's say you want to just use the framework, but you have a different weight goal or weight target. Then all you need to understand is that you need to do this step first. Don't calculate your carbs or your fat first, because you'll see in a second that should not be calculated first. The thing we need to prioritize is protein. Why? Well, because it's going to help us maintain our muscle mass as we lose fat, so we don't just become really small and lose muscle mass. But also, protein is very filling, okay? So we're not going to get as many cravings throughout the day. Not only that, it has the greatest thermic effect on the body, meaning just digesting the protein burns more calories than any other nutrient. So this is why we need to prioritize this and calculate it first. So whatever your protein target is, in this case it's 200 grams, we're going to times it by 4 to get 800 calories, being the calories that we get from this. We're going to take that off the total, so now we only have to figure out how we're going to consume 1,145 calories. Now for fat, I always recommend 0.3 to 0.4 grams of fat per pound of body weight. Now I'm going to take the lower end of that, so we're going to be consuming 60 grams of fat. Now this is why you need to be careful with fat, because it has a lot of calories per gram. So each gram of fat has roughly 9 calories in it. So if you overconsume this, you can very easily be over your target, and this can throw the whole challenge off. So 60 times 9 is 540. So just 60 grams of fat is going to give us 540 calories. Take that off the total, we have 605 calories left, and what we're going to do is fill the rest with carbs. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. So we have to do kind of the reverse here. 605 is what we need to fill, divide it by 4, and we get 150 grams of carbs that we can consume, which is fairly doable, I'd say. And that's it in terms of the nutrition side. Now I'm going to give you an example of a day of eating that looks like this, okay? So here we go. Meal 1, breakfast. Roughly 430 calories, 45 grams of protein, 45 grams of carbs, and 6 grams of fat. Now, we want to ideally have roughly the same profile of calories, protein, carbs, fat, roughly throughout the entire day, okay? We don't want to be having like 5 grams of protein, 5 grams, and then like 180, you know? We want to split this equally, ideally. So, again, meal 2, similar calories, similar protein, similar carbs, similar fat, okay? Again, less calories here, but similar fat, similar carbs, similar protein, and then this has slightly higher fat to fill the rest of the day, and essentially, yeah, that's it. Now, obviously, these are examples. You can pretty much, and I don't recommend this, but you can eat whatever you want as long as you do hit these targets. So people sometimes say, oh, you can eat a pizza or a hot dog or whatever it may be. And that is true. If you are getting these macronutrients hit, then generally speaking, it doesn't matter what you eat. However, you'll find a lot of foods that are heavily processed will not have a profile that look maybe this good or this good. You'll have much more calories for the amount of protein. You'll have much more fat, much more carbs for the same amount of protein. And so therefore, yes, you can do that, but it's going to be harder. And also you're not going to feel as good. And so there's many reasons why I don't recommend just eating anything. I recommend sticking to whole foods, and that's something that I talk about in the description. If you click the first link, you'll get access to basically every single guide, cookbook, training plan, everything that you need. And I talk about that more in there. But now's the activity. To burn 555 calories, 12 to 13,000 steps in zone 2. Now, what is zone 2? It's a pace where you can talk, but you can't sing. So essentially, you can still hold a conversation, but it's becoming slightly difficult. And if you try to sing, you would not be able to. I don't know if that's a good description. I tried to make it as simple as possible. You can go do some research on zone 2, but 12 to 13,000 steps at a brisk pace, in other words, is enough. That will burn anywhere between 450 and 600 calories. Obviously, it depends on other factors, but generally speaking, that is the case. And that's it. That's all you need to do. I could recommend swimming or biking, but I don't do those things personally, and I don't recommend them, because doing enough, for example, biking or tennis or football to burn 555 calories is potentially going to be harder than fitting in 12 to 13,000 steps in a day. Okay, you may have to play like an hour of football, which for most people is not realistic, and that's why I recommend this. Okay, now this says extra tips, but these are really important. Number 1, strength training 3 times a week. If you don't do this, you will not, and I promise you, you will not see the results you want to see. Because if you're just in a deficit, you will just get smaller. You will lose muscle mass if you have any already. You will just be a softer, pudgy version of yourself. And you'll just be a smaller, like, scaled down version of yourself. You won't have the look that you think you'll get. You need to strength train. This is why we're going to have a lot of protein, because we want to not only maintain any muscle mass that we have, but also build more. So this is really important. Sleep, we're going to need to sleep for at least 8 hours, and that's just a standard. Everyone should be doing that anyway. And consistency. This is probably the most important thing. Maybe not more than strength training, but this is still important. Consistency. If you're not able to repeat this every single day for at least 18 weeks, you will not see the results. So that's that.